Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of our Social Work Skills Lab. This week, we're focusing on a crucial lens for our work with clients trauma informed care. And one of the tools commonly used to understand early adversity, the ACEs questionnaire. Whether or not you plan to work in a clinical setting, these frameworks will show up in every area of social work practice. Our goal today is to explore what it means to be truly trauma informed, not just in theory, but in the choices we make moment to moment in our work. Here's what we'll be covering: the principles of trauma informed care, the purposes and limitations of the Adverse Childhood Experiences Questionnaire, how these concepts apply to your practice, whether you're in a hospital, school, community agency, or private practice. These aren't just academic concepts, they shape how safe and empowering your services will feel to the people you're trying to help. Let's start with the ACEs framework. The ACEs questionnaire is a brief screening tool developed in the late 1990s through a partnership between the CDC and Kaiser Permanente. It identifies 10 types of early adversity, such as physical or emotional abuse, neglect, parental separation, and substance use in the household. But here's the important part: ACEs is a screening tool, not a diagnostic instrument. It gives us a snapshot, not the full picture. A high ACEs score can indicate greater risk for mental health challenges, chronic illness, and even early mortality. For example, the original study found that people with an ACE score of 4 or more had a significantly higher risk of depression, substance use, and heart disease. But the tool also has limitations. It focuses solely on experiences within the home, and thus it overlooks broader systemic and environmental factors like community violence, the impact of racism, immigration trauma, housing instability, or natural disasters. It also doesn't capture protective factors, the relationship strengths or supports that might help someone thrive despite adversity. So, while ACEs can be used for raising awareness, they should never be used as a predictor of who will struggle or who will succeed. Trauma isn't just about what happened, it's about how the person experienced the trauma and what support they had in its aftermath. You'll be invited to complete the ACEs questionnaire on your own time. This isn't something you should submit, it's for your own personal reflection. If you choose to do it, I encourage you to keep your score private. Notice how it feels to answer these questions. Think about how a client might feel being asked the same things, especially if they don't know you well yet. This is a good moment to remember that trauma informed care begins with awareness of ourselves, our assumptions, and our impact. Now, let's turn to trauma informed care, or TIC. According to SAMHSA, trauma informed care is an organizational and clinical approach that recognizes the widespread impact of trauma, understands potential paths for recovery, and actively resists re traumatization. It's not about asking what happened to you. It's about asking what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you. It's also about shaping every aspect of care to promote safety, trust, collaboration, and empowerment. We're going to walk through 5 key principles that make up a trauma informed approach in healthcare and social work settings. The first principle is choice. As social workers, we support clients' right to self determination. This means presenting all available options, providing clear and accessible information, and respecting the client's right to make their own decisions, even when they're different from what we might choose. Trauma often involves a loss of control. Rebuilding a personal sense of agency is a vital part of healing. So think about how you present options. Do you speak clearly and avoid jargon? Do you make space for your client to ask questions? Do you communicate that their voice matters? Next is collaboration. Trauma informed care isn't about the provider being the expert, it's about partnering with the client. That includes things like giving clients a say in goal setting and treatment planning, creating space for feedback, and adjusting plans based on that feedback. It also includes advocating with and for clients within broader systems. Sometimes we serve as a bridge between the client and intimidating or rigid organizations. Collaboration means that the client is seen and heard, not just by you, but at every level of care. The next principle is safety. Safety is foundational. It includes physical safety, things like well lit spaces, options for where to sit, and exits that aren't blocked. But it also includes emotional safety. Emotional safety comes from being consistent, kind, and predictable. It means you'll never pressure a client to disclose more than they're ready to share. It means watching for nonverbal cues and checking in if your client seems overwhelmed. You might say something like, "You're in control of what you choose to share here. We'll go at your pace." Finally, trustworthiness. This means following through. If you say you'll send a resource, follow up. If you make a mistake, and undoubtedly you will, own it immediately. If you're running behind, let the client know. For people who've experienced betrayal, inconsistency, or abandonment, trust does not come easily. And every small act of reliability that you do helps build your client's trust in you. Trust is built slowly, but it's also very easily lost. Trauma informed care means honoring the client's trust with humility and care. Trauma informed care isn't a checklist or a list of principles, it's a way of being with clients, with colleagues, with yourself. As you move through this week's material, I hope you'll reflect not just on what trauma is, but how we respond to it. The way we show up consistently, respectfully, transparently can be part of what helps a client begin to heal. Please complete the readings and journal reflections in Canvas, and remember to post any questions in the Q&A forum. As always, email me directly if you have a personal need or a time-sensitive concern. Thanks for showing up this week. I look forward to seeing you again next time.